In January 2023, we traveled to Abkhazia in the South Caucasus. I have to leave Russia every 6 months as part of the Russian visa requirement. The nearest, least expensive, Russia-friendly state was Abkhazia, which also has a large Friends of Crimea club. Abkhazia is a mountainous, independent country located in the South Caucasus Mountains on the east coast of the Black Sea. Not many people know much about Abkhazia's history, much less they can find it on a map. I was one of them. For example, I did not know that the Abkhazians had been there since the 10th century BC. Like so many other countries in the Black Sea area, it has been ruled by many different empires: Greek, Byzantine, Roman, Ottoman, and the Russian Empire. The Abkhaz were vassals of the Byzantine Empire when they became Christian in 550 AD. In the 8th century, the independent kingdom of Abkhazia was formed. During the Soviet era, it became an autonomous region in 1919 and was raised to the status of a republic in 1921. In 1930, it became an autonomous republic within the Georgian Republic. After the breakup of the USSR in 1991, Abkhazia went to war with Georgia in 1992 to obtain its independence based on the principle of the right of self-determination. 11% of the Abkhazian population died in that 2-year war. Boris Yeltsin was not interested in helping Abkhazia, but later, under President Dmitry Medvedev, its independence was recognized. In the years that followed, Russia has become increasingly influential in Abkhazia. Today, most Abkhazians hold Russian passports. Most speak their own native language and Russian. And the currency is the Russian ruble. Abkhazia also allowed Russia to build military bases on its territory. Our 3 days in Sukum, the capital, saw just enough to scratch the surface of this amazing land and people. We will return again in June when I must renew my Russian visa. This time, we will stay longer and make a feature documentary on the history, culture, and this beautiful land. This short video will document our trip and initial discoveries and serve as a teaser or trailer for the upcoming documentary. We left Simferopol for the 20-hour overnight train trip to Adler. After a 2.5-hour ride to Sukum, the capital, we met Artur Mikvabia, the founder and coordinator of Friends of Crimea Abkhazia, and our host for the next 3 days. After checking in to the Dioscorias Hotel, the old name of Sukum, we went for a walk in the adjacent central square and park. Sukum, the capital, was heavily bombed by Georgia during this war. These were the government buildings. Across the street, in stark contrast to the bombed-out buildings, was a large park still decorated with a tall Christmas tree, candy canes, and other signs of the season. Families and children were out strolling and playing, proof that life goes on. Later that evening, Artur Mikvabia a very prominent businessman and politician in Abkhazia and Russia, treated us to a typical Abkhazian feast.
Sulabuni cheese. And smoked, natural and smoked sulabuni.
The traditional meal consisted of vegetables, beef, chicken, a special kind of bread with delicious cheese, and of course, wonderful Abkhazian wine and cognac. Omar, a schoolmate of Artur, provided the entertainment that night and dedicated his rendition of Elvis Presley's Love Me Tender to me.
Love me tender, love me true. All my dreams fulfill. Mama, darling, I love you, and now all is well.
In addition to being a special holiday, the Old Russian New Year, a group of lovely young women was celebrating a birthday. I couldn't resist a toast and making new friends. The next day, Mr. Mikvabia took us on a tour of the city's center and seaside. Sukum is an old city that combines both old and new architecture, and the streets are clean and full of late model automobiles.
What would you like to see?
The promenade is beautifully manicured and well maintained. It is a place where the locals come to meet and casually stroll along the seaside. Scrabble, not chess, is popular with young and old. In the summer months, the promenade is crowded with thousands of tourists who flock to this seaside resort where tourism is a major industry. Agriculture is the other major industry. We strolled along the promenade where the locals were out walking the dog, jogging, and enjoying a beautiful day along the Black Sea. We passed a popular outdoor coffee shop, museums, statues, and monuments, and the drama theater named after Samson Chanba. There are 4 state theaters in Abkhazia, which show their love of country, their history, literature, and art. This marble slab with barbed wire is a monument to the political repressions of the 1930s and 40s. As many as 7,000 Abkhazian men were victims of political repressions. Another monument called Makhadjir, meaning exile, commemorates the end of the Russian Caucasus War when the imperial government resettled the Abkhaz people far away from their homes. Today, the Abkhaz diaspora exists in 50 countries, with the largest one in Turkey. This is a tribute to Saida Delba, a famous Abkhazian poetess who was only 27 when she died defending her country in the 1992 and 93 war with Georgia. She became the symbolic figure for the young people of Abkhazia, for poets, singers, and writers. Her works were published only after her death. A bit later, we stopped at the Jazz V coffee shop where we met several men who meet there frequently. All of them know Mr. Mikvabia and express their respect and gratitude for what he had done for Sukum and Abkhazia. Can you get everybody?
Yes, this is video. Photo. Сейчас, подожди.
Mr. Mikvabia greeted these young men with the hope that all goes well for them, their families, and the country and future generations.
Поэтому я вам хочу всем пожелать, что все было хорошо, а вы являетесь на самом деле и наследниками, и продолжателем больших абхазских дел.
He mentioned that his grandson was born recently, and this made him very happy.
Вот у меня недавно внук родился, я очень радуюсь. Спасибо большое. Я знаю, что абсолютное большинство из вас семейные и дети есть. Це ще не гата, це мало, шкурило, шабаться, шанаться, шистаху, иштаху. Шан, гичах, вообще, шан взяла, я, знаешь, как перевожу, многие лета.
And he wished them Chamzilla, which means many years to come, and then said, let's raise our glasses to young men. Several champagne toasts were made to Arthur, Abkhazia, and friendship.
People say the man who had older people who can advise you in your life, that person had God. This is very popular words in our country, in Abkhazia. Yeah. And that is why to have kind of old people is very important for us. We are rich because we have kind of.
Just prior to leaving, we were joined by Natalia, a lawyer and the owner of Jazz V. She told us that Arthur was a former prime minister of Abkhazia and how they had worked together in the government. While we chatted, 3 gypsy children recited Alexander Pushkin verses for a few rubles, of course. After the coffee break and champagne toast, Astamur Tania, the curator of a rare coin museum, showed us the unique collection. We saw coins dating back to the 7th century BC, representing numerous empires, trade routes, cultural connections, and technologies. I was amazed at the history revealed in each coin from ancient times to the present.
Syria, home district.
So there was trade that came through here. Obviously.
Yes, exactly.
At the end of the tour, we made souvenir coins with a metal stamping machine.
Да, это сильно. Но мы извлечем. Это на память.
This is for memory, Regis.
Да.
You struck
Там
your own
наш
coin.
логотип
This is your logo
и аббревиатура нашего музея.
and the abbreviation of our museum.
Еще разок. Все,
Так.
хватит. Теперь подложи.
Так, теперь
Останови.
любой стороной, да? Вот
Любой
так вот.
стороной,
Нужно,
да.
главное, посерединке.
Да.
Так, и теперь
крутить
все-
только не,
Regis, move a bit.
I'm
so
fine.
it doesn't struck you. И теперь я влево, правильно?
Да. Это хорошая хитрость.
And then I posed with my new friend, Astamur. Mr. Mikvabia had arranged several interviews with his brother, a journalism professor, historians, and a woman who fought in the 1992 war and is the creator and curator of the War Memorial Museum.
И санс, если это будет не громко сказано, она началась еще в советское время.
Обязательное судебное. Но я работал в органах.
Each of these will be produced as standalone videos. In a beautifully manicured park called Glory Park, we visited the memorial of the 1992-93 war with Georgia, called the Patriotic War in Abkhazia. More than 20,000 died in that fight for independence, 11% of the total population. Surrounding the monument are marble slabs with the names who gave their lives. On either side of the monument are headstones, remembering others who fought and died. The big memorial is a sword stuck in the soil, meaning that the war is over. It is customary to leave carnations, and like I have done elsewhere, I laid pink carnations out of respect for the sacrifices these people made for their freedom and sovereignty. Sukum also has a botanical garden, which goes back to the 1830s and covers an area of 30 hectares, 75 acres. Being winter, many of the plants were covered, and we were the only visitors. The garden hosts 5,000 plants from many countries, including Japan, and even cacti from the state of Arizona in the United States. On the way back to Russia for our return home, we visited a Greek monastery named Novi Afon, the New Athos. It was built in the 1870s by the monks who came from Mount Athos in Greece. It was the place where the apostle Simon the Zealot died. This complex of freshly painted buildings was spectacularly beautiful. The inside of the church was magnificent and covered with frescoes. On the way down the mountain from the monastery, we passed a grove of olive trees transplanted from Greece. Our next stop was for a coffee break in a small village and tourist destination with souvenir and coffee shops and a waterfall. On our drive to Adler, we stopped along the roadside where tangerines and local vegetables were being sold. Tangerines are a major export for Abkhazia. We met an old babushka who was thrilled to meet an American. And of course, we purchased a couple of kilos for our trip home. Then, a race against time through heavy traffic to catch our return train to Crimea. We made it just in time and enjoyed a beautiful sunset over the Black Sea. Tanya and I are so grateful to Artur Mikvabia and the many new friends we made that made this trip so educational and special.